Hello, everyone, and welcome along to another episode of the ROONS MIZZ Arsenal Chat. I'm ROONS,
And I'm Iz.
and we're here, and we come to you every Friday to talk about all things Arsenal, the good and the bad and the ugly. So, Miz, long time no see, mate. Good to see your face.
Yeah, yeah, nice to see you again. It's a little week break. So we're back. We're back here, and you hit it on the head with the ugly lately because I think it's been a little ugly. So
Well, it's been a little bit of all three, I think, in this past 2
it,
weeks. It's an interesting week to have
yeah,
missed
yeah,
last
yeah,
week and come back
yeah.
because it was
Yep.
almost like a tale of two cities, you
It,
know?
totally. Some wins and some big games, and some a defeat against Villa that doesn't sit well.
Right, right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, what's
What's
on?
on the list today? We're gonna recap Man United and the Villa games. Just kind of like the paradox that happened between the two matches of one a win at United and a loss to Villa after. We're going to talk about the formation, whether we're a little too defensive right now. Um, then we're going to touch on we got an interesting little JV varsity mix in there of that cup team may look a little better than the EPL side that we're putting out. And granted the cups are a little different, but we're going to discuss if any of those players should be breaking into the first team and be making more of a name for themselves right now. And then we're going to look ahead to Leeds. We got a big game this weekend. I think it's Sunday or 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we're
Not
going to
this
play
weekend,
Leeds.
right?
It's
It's
not this weekend. It's still international.
yeah,
Yeah, but we have a big game coming up against them. That's going to be a tough test. So yeah,
definitely.
yeah, and they're firing on all cylinders. So yeah, let's dive into it. Man United. We talked to Art before. We had a nice chat,
Yeah,
and we came out on top in that game.
right. And it was, I think we all three, even Art too, felt that it could go either way. No one would be
Yeah,
surprised if any team won. I don't know if even any score line would be surprising because both teams are playing in a
yeah.
way that you're like, I don't know what is going to happen. I
Hmm.
mean, Man U has
Yeah,
just god awful at times this season. And then they beat RB Leipzig, which is a very good team, 5-0. And you're like,
yeah.
where did that come from? You know what I mean? So you
They're
don't know what
they're
team is
all over. They're
up.
all over the place as well.
Yeah. And we're kind of we've had a more consistent form, I guess, but also feels like you wouldn't be surprised. And as we saw with the Aston Villa game, anything can happen really. But we scraped through with a victory at Man United. I personally
Yeah,
felt like people were making too big a deal of it. People were calling it a master
yeah,
class and a perfect game. And I mean, first of all, Man United is not that good. So beating
yeah.
them is not like beating them back in the
They're
day.
in like they're in like 14th right now after 8 games. We're not much better. We're like in 10th or 11th or something. But like that, it's telling in the league. We're headed towards Christmas next month, and they say like who's in top at Christmas is always a determiner of what's going on.
Yeah.
Now I know it's a little bit different this year, but you're not in the top 10 at this point. You
It gets
you're
harder
not
and harder.
challenging for it gets harder and harder. Yeah,
Yeah, like when are you gonna make your break and start pushing up the table? Like if you haven't done it by now, are
exactly.
you gonna do it ever? And there's something with
Yeah,
Arsenal that is worrying because it felt like the first few games we were, even if we were winning, we went at West Ham. We won a couple tight games that we came through. Man U is an example, but it's kind of like, all right, guys, are you done warming up? Have you gotten the
yeah.
nerves out? Have
You,
you figured out what
time
system
to
to
time
use? Because you got to
time
start
time to
winning.
start putting the ball in the goal.
Yeah, and you got to start winning like
Yeah,
4 games in a row. You got to go. Even with Emery, we went on a 22 unbeaten streak.
run. Yeah,
Yeah, and we still didn't make the Champions League. But that was 22
yeah,
games in all competitions, granted. But that's a lot of Premier League games where we didn't lose. We need
yep,
it. You need a streak like that to have a successful
yeah,
season. You got to have a 10-game unbeaten run in the Premier League, and that means like 7 wins and 3 draws.
for
And
sure.
like
Yep.
we saw it with Aston Villa. It's like, okay, we were like climbing the hill. Are we going to get over the hill, or are we going to fall back down? And if Aston Villa is the judge, we're skidding back. We need to pump the brakes as fast as possible and turn around against Leeds.
Totally. I mean, and against Villa, I mean, terrible match. Just no one, no threat at all. Like we have some top goal scorers in our team, and the lack of goals this season is worrying. They Aubameyang, I mean, is he pulling a Mesut Ozil right now? Like signed a new deal and nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, but also he's playing like you see the formation, and again, it's just like, oh, like how many times
Yeah,
every time we say this, Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe
and Pepe.
need to fucking start. They have not started one match together, and
Just
then you see
just
Willian
try
on
it
the
one
bench,
time.
you
He's trying.
already know, like this
It's
is
like
gonna
he's
be
trying
bad.
every other. He's trying every other combination besides that one.
Yeah, and then too,
Like,
Aston
eh,
Villa sees that and they're like, ha, they put Willian on, and Aubameyang's on the
yeah,
left where he doesn't do shit. You know, like
yeah,
Aubameyang's got to be up front in the center. You know what I mean? Like this playing on the wing and tracking back and being he does more defense than offense.
yeah,
Doesn't do
hmm
anything for us because we still
yeah.
got fucking scored on 3-0. I feel like he's terrified to put in Pepe in the Premier League because he's like Pepe doesn't track. It's like, okay, well, you kept him out, and what happened? We still got countered against Leicester. We were getting destroyed defensively by Aston Villa. Like, you're putting weaker players out there because supposedly they play defense, and we're still losing. It's like offense is a good form of defense. If the other team
Yeah,
is scared of you when you have the ball, then they're not going to be attacking you.
totally. I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I don't know. And even this week, very publicly, with Pepe and Arteta just saying Pepe was like, I want more playing time in the press, and I guess they've had a chat, which I'm sure they've had, but like, I mean, he's got to get an opportunity to try. Like, you got to like the goals don't, 20 minutes here and there in the game isn't going to do it. Like, you got to give the guy the 90 minutes at some point and let him try. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, he
and
scored a great goal. He scored the last two goals. He scored in Europa League 2 different weeks in a row. I mean, we're in charge in the group. We got one. We got a draw left out of the remaining 3 games to move into the second round. I mean, so now that Pepe's got to play against someone like United.
no, I know, and like I get that maybe he can't play a full game in the defensive formation and he's not going to track the whole game, but he has to start, and then you bring on Willian at 65 75 minutes in, and Willian can just be there to get a whip in across, and like Willian is not the guy we're looking to win us games.
Yeah.
Pepe is.
No. Yeah.
Undoubtedly it has to be Pepe, right? Is there any question about that?
No, and I mean, Willian had a great first game, and since then, we haven't seen a lot from him. I mean, attacking wise, like, and we're going to get into that in the next section, but like, we are very defensive right now. I know that they're like, it takes time to sort it out. One thing is great is overall, besides the Villa game, we haven't really been conceding very many goals, but that was a terrible game. I mean, I know that it's tough right now. They got fixture every 3 days, every 4 days, and they're playing catch up after New Year's. It should level out and get back to normal on the schedule. But even, we got to get to that point, and we got to put together some games and have something to do in the second half of the season. They're right now, they lose another game. Like, we lose against Leeds, all of a sudden, like,
It's
we're
looking bad.
not doing well in the league. We're
No.
4-4 right now.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
And when you're talking about teams like the Leicester game, they had one plan and we knew what the plan was. They're going to wait as long as they can, hope it's 0-0. Then they're going to throw Vardy on for one through ball counter attack and he's going to score. And that's what they did. And they absolutely let that happen.
Let them do it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
No, and you're right. We got hit at the end. We knew it was going to happen. You just like they did. That game was a perfect example of how defensive and how we're not firing on all cylinders. Like, they had a number of chances in the beginning of the game to bury Leicester. That game should have been so far gone by halftime.
Yeah.
Like a clinical Premier League team that's like playing well will dismantle another team at that point.
Yeah. I don't know what this formation is, but the defensiveness, the like unwillingness to really attack. But I think it starts basically because when you put your it's like putting Lewandowski or Cristiano Ronaldo and just playing them outside on the wing in a fully defensive formation. And if it's 4-3-3, then you know that it's kind of like, okay, the top three are the forwards, but
Yeah.
3-4-3, it's kind of like the left forward has to be the left wing because the two outside midfielders are like basically playing wing backs, but like defensive minded, you
Yeah.
know. And I mean, I don't like that formation anyway. I mean, we're kind of merging into that topic, but like you have players like Bellerin who's playing right midfield. He's not playing right defense. He's not defending like a right back, but he's not getting forward either. So it's like, what is that position on the field right now?
Yeah,
You
totally.
know?
I mean, it's gotta get better. They gotta sort it out with whatever they're doing, team, and how much like the formation's working. Like it's not like they're not scoring enough in general. Like defense, sure, sure up the back. We needed that. We needed a goalkeeper. We needed a center back. We got that sort of sorted. I think in general, the Villa game, we just were terrible. All like nobody played well.
Yeah.
No one could string together a pass. They didn't never look threatening. I think that's one of those ones. Chalk it up. You didn't play well after a run of games that were pretty close together. Hopefully, they get a little bit of rest on the international break and not have to push themselves too much. Some of them probably didn't travel. I know that what Partey picked up a thigh injury, but
Yeah.
it's not super bad. But I guess at first it seemed like it. So I saw something. I was like, "Is the season over?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" It's like I was like, "That would just be our luck." Like,
Because you see what happens when he leaves the game as well,
I mean,
you know?
he's for sure a great addition to the team. He needs like they need everybody needs to make sure that they're working him into how they're playing because he's going to be really good for us.
For sure.
Like,
But I think it also
but
just
we need that attacking midfielder. I think
yeah,
that's where we're struggling.
like he's a good person to shore up the midfield, but he can't
Yeah,
do that and be the creative midfielder as well. And
yeah,
you have El Neni, which I like that combination, even though El Neni was
he's good. Yeah,
horrible. I mean, everyone was
yeah,
horrible against Villa,
he,
really, but
yeah,
El Neni is not going to be the dude who gets it and goes forward and plays the through ball to Oba. Like we're still missing that player, and then we still
yeah,
have the right midfielder who's absolutely useless. Our right side, there's no one there. There's no one. We have no real right back. And I think
yeah,
that's why we're having to play the 3-4-3 because we're putting a central defender on the right. And then we're having a quasi right back player play right midfield. And then you have like Pepe on that side, and it's just like it's all uncomfortable. Pepe is never receiving the ball in a good position.
yeah.
Aubameyang's never receiving the ball. I mean, they pass it to him and he gets it. And his only option is to pass it right back or pass it backwards.
Yeah, because they're not. They're just. You're right. I mean, they're not moving. We're not attacking enough. I think this project that they're doing. I know it's going to take time, and it's hard not to be impatient
Yeah.
about it. And at Liverpool, Klopp struggled as well in his first full like year, like getting the right things going. Not the idea to relay that to them and have them execute it perfectly is hard. And they're switching things up, and they might just need time. But like they look like shit against Villa.
Well,
Like,
too, it's
I
like
mean,
time and time and time and starts and starts and starts and how many times do you need it? Like, does Bellerin need more time to figure out what the fuck he even does on the field? He's
yeah, to
been
say,
here
well, I mean,
this
in
is
that
his
sense,
10th season or something. He's been
yeah,
here
for that,
forever.
for him, for someone like him, yeah, he needs to know what to do at this point. Like Saka, gonna take time, obviously,
Yeah.
and And even I don't know. I the Aubameyang Lacazette partnership up top, when it's firing, it's amazing. But right now, they're not scoring goals. Either one of them. I think throw
Yeah,
someone else in there. Start in Kedia for like if Lacazette or Aubameyang aren't scoring, like put Aubameyang in the middle, maybe like give him a chance through the middle and not play him out on the wide all the time. Put in Kedia on, or try Saka up on that left up there and see what that does.
yeah,
Like sometimes Lacazette comes on and gets goals from the bench as well. I think Lacazette also finds bad rhythm if he starts every game and doesn't score. He sometimes needs to be a little frustrated coming off the bench, a little angry to like prove something. And he hasn't looked that player in a while right now.
no. Well, I mean, he's another player that as soon as he gets a run of form, he scored 3 goals and then he didn't even play like the
Then he
game.
gets
But
benched. Yeah.
like, and that's happened to him his whole time. He comes on, he does well.
Yep.
He's saying, "I'm in form. I'm ready to score." I scored 2 games in a row. Third game benched. And it's like
Yeah.
when you break the momentum with a striker, you never know if it's going to come back. It might not come back for months, and it might not come back ever. Like you never. It's
Yeah.
like you can wake a sleeping baby. You know what I mean? Like you don't
Yeah.
know if they're going to fall asleep. They might cry for another 4 hours straight, and it's a nightmare. Like, and every
Yeah.
time he gets a bit of form, he still has the most goals in the Premier League for Arsenal, 3, which is another thing too. It's like people are getting close to 10 goals, 10 assists. If we're not up there in the stats, like you can't do well in a season if none of your players are statistically in the top 5 in any category.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally. Yeah,
Like,
it's gotta be better. There, I mean, at some point they gotta start scoring. Or like right now, I mean, against Man United, we predicted a penalty in the game. Luckily it went our way, but it like
are you gonna
scoring a penalty and winning 1-0, that's not gonna get it done. Like
no.
you're not even gonna make Europa League with like form like that. We had a decent run of games, but we need to be putting this together more. 4-4 after 8 games is,
It's
you're
poor.
it's poor. Yeah, it's mid-table where we're exactly at,
Yeah.
and you're not gonna improve from there. You're gonna stay at that spot.
And the frustrating thing is that it's not like we're missing sitters. Lacazette had that one. Tierney had a good ball in. The one good cross that we had, he should have scored with the header. But it's
Yep.
hard when, if you only make one clear cut chance, then it's 50-50. Either you make it and you're good. If you miss it, then it's like everyone notices. It's like a keeper. If the keeper like makes an error and it goes in for a goal, then that's what everyone harps on.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was one chance. Yeah, he should have scored it. But hopefully you get at least 3 chances in a game and you can score 2 or 3 of them. That's what an informed striker would do. We're getting one out of completely nowhere. All of a sudden a ball gets whipped in and you have to be able to score it. Yes, that's what's expected of a top striker, but it's not like any kind of pattern is creating chances where then people can then score the goals.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no offensive movement or creativity, and then all of a sudden Oba gets the ball and you're like, hey, like score a bicycle kick. And you're like, you can't just do that all the time. And you don't want to
Yeah. And like,
rely on that. You want to rely on, why isn't Oba getting plays through the back line where he's breaking the back line and getting actual chances to then either pass it off or a tap in or score himself? Why has that situation, that scenario doesn't happen with what's going on right now? And that's a problem.
what well, and it's like here, totally. I mean, in the formation chat, we're playing more defensively, but as the more defensive team, which it's nice to see, we've always been good at passing, and they're playing out of the back right now. Like Leno will play the ball short to somebody in order to keep the ball. Well, then keep the ball all the way up the field. Like there's no reason that you can't just like keep playing ticky tacky and opening up space like you are in the back all the way up the field. Like the whole point of playing out of the back is to draw forwards, bring them towards you, create more space through the rest of the field, right?
Yeah.
So as they're doing this, they need to move up the field and open up the spaces and keep moving the ball. You're right. We're having like no tap ins. That style should be opening up their defense all the way down. Like,
Yeah.
what are they
I mean,
doing?
that's the
Like,
Man City started that. That's what Pep Guardiola started
yes,
that whole thing
yeah,
because he sucks them in and they know that they can
yeah,
keep the ball and then they'll move it up and they'll do exactly like what you said in their own box in the other team's box, except that equals
exactly.
a pass in. It's like you're playing 5 on
Yeah, you're
5,
doing.
no
You're,
keepers. You just pass it in through the cones. You know
yep,
what I mean?
yep, yep. You're
That
playing Rondo.
do that.
You're playing Rondo, moving up the field around. That's what their style is.
Yeah.
5-on-2 in the middle, and they're just using the triangle system all the way up. So why, when they get into their offensive half, they stop doing it and stop? They're not moving that forward, and
No.
that's confusing because like you're starting it in the back, and you're like, well, here, like you've already sucked 5 players out of the field once you get to the halfway line. That's where you should be. You should have 5 of them already ahead. And so I'm confused why they don't understand how to keep moving forward.
Well, it's because
So
I think it's because we don't have the quality to move. Though there's you move out of the defensive third into the middle third, and that's
yeah,
where you need to switch from being like, okay, it's just tiki taka. Now it's tiki taka forward though.
slide. Yeah, it's like
One
you need
move
that De Bruyne. So
where
we're missing like
yeah,
De Bruyne.
the
We're missing De
one
Bruyne.
who
Yeah.
or a Silva who gets it and
So
turns
yeah,
from
yeah,
defense to offense. And now we're playing that in the other field's team. But instead, what we're doing is we're sucking it back. Ceballos is getting the ball with mountains of pressure, just building and building. And he doesn't have the strength or speed to break
or
that.
no without.
But
Yeah,
it's like okay, here, put like 225 on my back, and now I gotta go like run a sprint. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like, okay, I get it. If you play back, suck them in, but you need to be able to switch it from defense to offense. And if you can't, then don't play that way because you're just inviting tons of pressure that you can't. Obviously, they can't.
yeah,
Like Miles just can't break through it. He's getting the ball.
totally.
And they have to go
Yeah,
sideways. They have to go sideways. And then also, you need the quality to be able to turn it into offense. And then you pass it to fucking Bellerin, and his first thing is trap it, look up, look down, and pass it 5 yards sideways. Or trap it, look around,
he
and then
probably he
play it
probably
back.
looked for he's probably looking for a mirror somewhere in there too, so he can take a look at himself. And
Like, let me adjust my stupid ass hair. But honestly,
yeah,
like, he gets it, or like you'll have a player, they're knocking it around and they pass it to Bellerin and he just first times it back to Leno or something. And you're like,
yeah, yeah.
what are we doing here, dude?
Yeah, you're right.
Like
It's
I
the
get
quality, and
it.
we're missing Awar and what we were trying to do over summer. We needed that other piece, like, and it's showing right now that
Yeah.
we cannot move the ball forward in the same way that we're moving it around the back. They're playing well out of the back. Leno's pretty good on the ball. Like
Yeah. And every once in a while,
every
if,
once in a while have a blunder, but
yeah. But I mean, if you're not getting through, then every once in a
yeah,
while you have a blunder and it's going to be the net
yeah.
negative. We're giving up goals playing that way, you know?
Exactly, because you need to be scoring from that momentum that you create in the back, and they're not doing that. And it's just one of those things like against Villa. It's like have a little bit of pride. I mean, first of all, Emmy Martinez is now the goalkeeper for Aston Villa. Your goalkeeper that had been there for like 10 years. I know he's like a friend and you liked him, but he's now the starting keeper for the team that's coming to play at your home. Like have a little pride and not lose 3-0 to them. Like his
Just like,
move looks
well, I
great
made the
today.
right
Yeah, I
choice.
made the right choice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
left and we came back and beat you.
Just
Like,
psychologically, it hands over so
yes.
much. And how
Like,
often do we do that where we're like, oh, you left Arsenal? Well, you made the right choice, Gnabry. You made the right
yeah.
choice, Check. You made the right choice.
Yeah.
Arteta when he goes to Man City to coach, and like we constantly tell players that you made the right move to leave because we're still
Yeah.
playing like bitches. Like I heard someone say, I think it was on AFTV, where they were like, "We're playing with the handbrake on." And I was like, "Yes,
Yeah.
exactly." And it started with Wenger, and that's where all the problems started, where it just started seeming like we're being like, "Oh, well, guys, we're not gonna play our best team. This is we gotta
Yeah.
rest people and we gotta
We're,
no, I'm not gonna put I know Aubameyang's doing really well, but we're gonna put him in the left and have him play defense, and we're gonna sit Pepe
and
with
pick up
the blah blah
and
blah."
pick up the yeah, and pick up the intensity while they're at it. I mean, I against Arsenal against Villa, that didn't look like a scary team at all. You didn't. They didn't look like they were running hard. When I think about like a hard team to go play against, I think of like going to Liverpool and them. They're going to be on you like
Yeah.
hard. You're
And
getting rocked if you
looking
like.
for the spaces to exploit, looking for your
Yeah,
weakness, you're gonna smell it a mile away. A team like City,
yeah,
like if you're taking a little
yeah.
touch, you're like you're Xhaka and you're like, oh, what the ball's coming, I'm in slow motion. Like they're gonna be like, okay, attack that guy,
Boom. Yeah, yeah. And like, where is that? Like, you come on. That's like that. Get fired up. Like you get to play professional football, whether there's fans or not right now. Like figure it out.
Yeah. And I think we can segue to the JV varsity dynamic.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
I think, like, I'm watching these every game. It's like we get to the Premier League and then they field this bullshit starting lineup where there's noticeable people like Bellerin, like Willian, who the other team is going to see and be like, okay, they put
Yeah,
that team out. We're not scared of that team at all. And then you have the Cup team, which is obviously we're playing Molde, is not playing,
Dundalk.
yeah, is not the same as playing a team in the Premier League. I get it, blah, blah, blah. But this team, the Cup team, they're not having these problems. They're not having problems scoring goals. They're not having problems getting in. You're seeing Willock, who is straight up dribbling past players.
Yeah,
I
why
haven't seen
not
one
play him as
player in the
this?
Premier League straight
Yeah,
up dribble past a player anywhere on the
yeah.
field. When does
Willick,
someone get
and
the
and
ball
why
and
isn't
like
it, and why
break
isn't he
past?
starting in as that attacking midfielder role right now? Because he like, dude, he's in the first team, and he obviously is the most creative attacking midfielder we have right now.
Yeah, he gives us something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I know, like it's true. Okay, like we have a cup team who's basically hasn't lost in a long time. They beat
yeah.
Liverpool. They beat Leicester. Both teams we keep losing to in the league. They're undefeated in Europa League. Does that count for anything at all? If you do well,
No,
you score a bunch of goals. Like Willock scores 2 goals, gets an assist, and then he's doesn't even come on for 10 minutes in the game.
right? Like two really good goals as well. Like that one was a banger. Like he left footed. Like he's a good all around player. It seems like
Yeah. I mean, he's raw.
and
They're raw for sure, but are you telling me that fucking Bellerin is better? Like, what is he doing? And
yeah,
yeah, he gets
yeah,
like the odd assist every now and then, and people are like, "Well, see, he had a good game." It's like you do one good thing, but it's still when he's on the ball, it just slows everything down, and now we have to work out of this quicksand. It's like,
I mean, you may. I mean, the JV varsity for like is a good comparison. That team is hungry, and that team like will invigorate the first team. I think like right now, Arteta. I don't know. I mean, I like Arteta as a manager a lot. I think he's going to be great. I just think he needs to figure some things out along the way. But right now, I think it's pretty certain that he's starting Lacazette, Aubameyang, and Willian as the front three. That seems to be his front three that he likes. And that's not, I don't think it's the best front three. I think we could switch that up and scare some teams. Like against Leeds, start Nketiah. He balled there and knows that team a little bit. Like I would start him, see what he's going to do, or at least play him a little bit.
or I mean, what about a 4-4-2?
Yeah. Lacazette and
Locke
Aubameyang.
in the
Yeah.
center,
Why,
Pepe out
why
wide,
not try
Lacazette
it?
out
Why not
wide.
try it? Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like
Yeah.
put put Aubameyang in a place where he's a number 9. You know what I mean? He's a
Yeah,
center
where
forward
he's where
striker,
because
dude.
Laka is good enough, and Lacazette is very good on the ball, very good passer of the ball. Like, let him be the holding.
Yeah, he
Let
could
Aubameyang play a little
hold up
higher.
play guy, the forward,
Yeah,
turns and then can do a quick 1-2s with Aubameyang.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Aubameyang's faster anyway, so like put him in
And like, why can't we see a Partey Willock partnership in the center
midfield.
where they both
That
can play
sounds great.
defense and both play
Yeah.
offense? You know, like there's too
They're
much.
both boxed. They're both box to box. They would easily work hard enough. Willock, you gotta. I like Joe Willock. His work rate's incredible. He he plays solid every time he's on the field.
He's doing things that you can say, okay, what did you do this game? You scored. You forced
Yeah,
an own goal. You got an assist. You juked the shit out of 3 people, made them spin around and fall down.
and he does it like on the end line. He's like really tight knit. Like he'll move the ball around. Like you think he has no space on the line and still takes it more. And you're
Yeah.
like, wow, that's like
Like I
he's gonna be good.
yeah, totally. And he's not the finished product, you know, it's not saying you throw him into the Premier League and he's just going to tear it up or anything, but like who are we putting there instead? You
Yeah,
know? These other players
and
like
thank God we
Willian
have
and Bellerin are
Martinelli back soon.
for sure. For sure. We need
He's in full training now, which is amazing. So that means that he's like weeks away from probably coming back.
but the question is he going to be part of the JV team? And like even in JV, you know, if you're scoring like a bunch of goals in JV and you're clearly just destroying it, and then the varsity dude is missing chances and you guys can't score goals, dude, the coach is going to be like, you're pulled up from JV, now you're on varsity, now go score.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a natural thing, and it has to be that progression. But right now, it just seems like, okay, you're on the cup team, so you play cups,
Yeah.
and Bellerin and Willian are going to be in the EPL because that's just how it is, and there's no changing that. It's like if you're
Isn't
doing
it?
well in the lower team, you have to go up, right? Like,
Totally. And I hope Martinelli is a little different because he was breaking into the first, like, I mean, scoring some impressive goals.
yeah,
I mean, he's like highly rated from like a lot of people. I was reading an article that was like saying how people call him like the next Ronaldo in Brazil, and he's like supposed to be that good.
yeah, I hope so. I hope
I,
so. I believe it.
yeah,
But we have to play to the strengths. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
We need
Why?
to, we need to, we need to give more of a chance to, you know, some younger players at this point. Like, obviously, the first team isn't performing the way they should be, and need a wake up call. I mean, there's nothing better than some healthy competition for those places. If you know that you're going to start, even if you play bad, that's nowhere that you should want to be as a team.
Seriously, there's the complacency within the first team that because they keep getting rewarded, you know,
Yeah, it's like,
Like
oh, we lost. Fuck, I get to play still, and I whatever. Like,
to me, there's 3 players that completely, if they're on the field, it's going to fuck up the entire formation. And that's
yeah,
Xhaka, Mustafi, and Bellerin. And yes, all of them are capable of having a 90-minute quality game and doing
yeah,
something to change the game, to win the game. They're capable of that. But if you do that 3 or 4 times a season and the rest of the time you slow down the entire fucking formation and make the whole team run a whole order of magnitude slower, which creates tons more problems that you can't just fix, then
yeah.
you need to look at that. And those 3 players, if they're on the field, it's already like, oh, and if they're all 3 on the field, which they've been fielded all 3 in the starting 11 more times than Pepe, Alba, and Lacazette. And what is the reason for that? No
Yeah.
manager in the Premier League would ever start all 3 of those players at the same time. None, they would never do that. They would never put fucking Xhaka, Bellerin, and Mustafi on the starting lineup to face a Premier League team. Never
Yeah,
gonna.
totally. And I mean, one player in the Premier League that's out of sorts on the field will ruin the team chemistry.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, and any team, I mean, anytime you've played it, one player can make the whole team unbalanced.
Yeah, you're
And
knocking it around tiki taka out of the back going forward. You pass it to someone and they just trap it and then don't know what to do, so they just pass it back and you're like, oh, like Aubameyang just
yeah,
made a 60-yard fucking run for
yeah, you got to
nothing.
see that.
Like,
Everybody, like, I mean, and it's a personnel problem, and they're not moving players out fast enough. Like Mustafi at this point, not in the plans. Not he already said he wants to leave next summer. Cut the
so
dead weight then.
why does
Why
he
the
get
fuck
bumped
would?
up the
Yeah,
list? You know, like
yeah,
what are there no other players? You know, like is
yeah.
is Pablo Mari still fucking like
Hurt.
gone forever? Is
Yeah,
like there's other players that we've heard about, and then you see Mustafi, and you're like, how did he jump over everyone in the cup team? You know
and
what I mean?
Saliba. Like, have you? Where's Saliba at? What's going on with that?
Yeah, like you're telling me Saliba, he just had like a mental breakdown or something, and now it's like, well, we wanted to send him off on loan, but we didn't, so now we can't ever play him again. It's like,
Yeah,
that is
like
that
it's just
the case?
gone.
Yeah, like how is this dude? Or there's players like Reese Nelson, like is he
Yeah,
if he's not gonna break into the Premier League team, sell him.
why
You
is
should
he
have
there?
sold
Yeah,
him. Should have
because
sold
he's
him this past.
because, but also I don't understand that one because when he does come on, he does play well
I know.
and scores. Like he pretty much scores almost every time he plays. Like
Yeah, or how do you
you
know if
don't.
he's gonna play badly in the Premier League if he never fucking plays,
Yeah, I started listening to Wenger's book yesterday, and he was talking about like it's pretty good, and he like it's really nice to hear him talk and just about like what he would say about the youth players. Like he always wanted to give them a shot, and like there's a there's like a bond that gets created between the manager and the player that gets the debut, and those players like feel like a pride to try to like prove themselves at the club, and that's why he used to give them opportunities. But that's the thing is like they're not going to know in the Premier League until you try. Like look at Saka. Look how good Saka is. Like I mean, he must just be fantastic in training as well because he didn't even have a hesitation about giving him an opportunity. Where other players, I think they need player development isn't the same for everyone. Like certain players respond to things differently. Like he was saying that like you can't just base it on stats because there's another factor to it, and it's all the things that encompass that person as an individual, like the surroundings, what they're doing, what they're eating, and like some of them might not be doing the right thing at the time, but they need the opportunity and the lesson to like see it. And as some of those youth players, you got to say they just might need the boost of playing in the Premier League one game. Like if you had the opportunity to play in a Premier League match, you're going to relish it. Like you would, like you're going to put like your heart and soul into it, especially as a youth team player coming through.
And there's got to be that mentality as well that if you don't relish it and if you don't go on and prove, if you make the manager look like an asshole because you gave a youngster a chance and he sucked, then that was your chance and it's gone. And we have enough
Yeah,
players like Emil Smith Rowe,
yeah.
Willock, Nketiah, Reese
Nelson,
Nelson, Balogun,
Martinelli,
Martinelli's going to be in there. Saka is the only one of them who's solidified
kind
himself
of
in the
through,
first team. But there's
and
the players
Niles,
there.
I guess, a little bit.
Again, where's Maitland Niles? He's
Yeah,
a
why is it?
player who I
He's
don't
better
think.
than Bellerin.
I know. Like, first of all, if you can't beat Bellerin to a starting position, that should be a benchmark. If you're not better than Bellerin
Bellerin.
or Xhaka or Mustafi, then there should be no reason why you're at Arsenal Football Club. That's a player we need to let go because we need to sell Bellerin. We need to get rid of that's the dead weight. And if you can't beat
Yeah.
them to a starting spot, why are you even on the team?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
Yeah,
they're
that's
showing
fair.
themselves. They're showing themselves in the lower divisions, and they're just being treated like a solid second string that has no pathway to the first team. And when you see a game like Aston Villa, you're like, why?
And the thing was, I recently they play like the juniors. The second team plays the first team a lot in training, and they beat them recently. I was reading something where like they beat them like pretty well. Like the mixture of the team was like why not? I mean, I know when I played at Green Valley, we played the varsity team a bunch. Like my freshman year, our team won the varsity one state, and our JV team beat them in practice a couple times. I mean, that team was big and strong, but we were technically better.
Yeah.
Like give the like just because it's the status quo of what it has been before. Aubameyang's not playing that well right now. So either move him in the middle and see if you can switch it up, or bench him for a game and see what happens.
Or I mean, can we ever just field our strongest formation?
Yeah,
Like
that too. Like, why not try that?
dude, Aubameyang was Golden Boot winner, 1 goal away from Golden Boot winner. He's been Golden Boot winner in Germany. His best position is center forward, and he's
It's
one of the best in
striker.
the world, striker.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
gonna put him there, and then we have to work out the rest of it based on that.
Yeah.
Saka's been
Yeah.
the best left wing, so he's on the left. Pepe is better than Willian. He's better than Bellerin for what he can
Yeah.
do. He can change the game and has tons of times scored goals that win us matches, that change the course of the game. He's in.
Or just play him on the left as well sometime.
I know. I don't know why this thing is.
He's a left-footed player.
No, if
That
you're
I
left-footed, you
understand.
have to play on the right. If you're right-footed, you have to
Yeah.
He's always
What?
getting the ball. When he's on the right, he's always getting the ball where he's like, oh, like has to,
But as a kid, where did the left-footed player play though?
left wing.
On the left side of the field.
Yeah.
Like
And I get
because I get the attacking in. Yes, but not everybody does that, and that's not everybody's style. And even in that scenario, like a left-footed player is going to have almost more balance on the left side of the field, knowing how to feed in, because that's the way their brain works a little bit. Like,
yeah. And
I don't know, like at least try it.
Yeah, you're whipping crosses.
He doesn't cross from the right of the field.
Having to like hit it with the outside of your foot, some crazy weird, like that's a hard technique for any player. The outside of the foot, swerve, cross.
And he scored a great goal right-footed a couple weeks ago. But in general, he does not use his right foot as often as he should. He never crosses the ball with the right foot.
Yeah.
So therefore, on that side of the field, you've already removed that attacking portion from that player even doing. Yeah. He's not going to cross the ball at all. So like, why I know that you want him to cut inside and take the shot, but how often is that happening either? So like, maybe switch it up and put him on the other side of the field and let him utilize his foot and see if we can get the ball in the middle.
So if anything, he can just play a ball inside of his foot and slot it in for Aubameyang or Lacazette or Nketiah or whoever is there. But all he has to do is just pass a 10-yard pass easy, and that can serve as a cross. That could be an assist.
Yeah. Why not try it? Like, I mean, you're right. If we fielded our strongest team, which could be a 4-4-2, if you were to put Pepe on the left, Aubameyang, Lacazette up top, Willock or El Neni with Partey, and then whoever else on the right. I mean, you could even play Saka.
Saka can do that. Like he's better.
He's better at that.
The left and cutting in, crossing it, doing like. I don't. It just works.
I would trust him more. With a cross on his right than I would Pepe.
Yeah.
Or getting the ball across the field from the right side than the left side. I mean, I don't understand why they're not trying any of those different combinations. Like we could be way more. It could be way more dynamic. It's not. It's right now. It's just not threatening enough. They're not pushing forward. They're not moving the ball forward through the middle at all. Like you almost feel like when Aubameyang gets the ball out on the left, he's just going to run to dead space and nothing's ever going to happen.
Well, is he going to get the ball midfield on the left and then somehow create all the momentum to beat all the defenders toward the goal and score? Like no player on earth can do that. Cristiano and Messi can't do that,
Yeah. It's just too many people on the field, and there's too many bodies you have to run through. I mean, the principle of the game is the ball is always going to move faster than anybody running with it. So, like, use that to your advantage, and they're just not. I mean, they got to improve. So hopefully they start to rectify it a little bit because
There's a shit up
Leeds,
in the formation.
yeah, because like Leeds going into the Leeds part, coming up on that game,
I'm
like
nervous. I'm big time
I
nervous.
am too. We could easily lose that game. I'd say I'm more nervous about Leeds than I was about Aston Villa, and we lost 3-0 to Villa.
I'm more nervous about Leeds than I was about Manchester United
Yes,
because
they will
Leeds
punish.
are not scared.
Bramford up front is going to cause us all sorts of problems. I mean, like the way that defensively, Gabriel's been amazing, but who's going to be in and against with him that day? Because if it's Mustafi, I'm worried. If it's Holding or Luis, I'm a little more comfortable. But like they're attacking and they're going to press and they work really hard.
Yeah, and they're not afraid. You know, they've taken it
They're
to
not, no,
like City. They score a shit ton of goals. They're gonna watch how we played against Aston Villa, and Bielsa is gonna
no,
be like, okay, these guys they're slow, they're hesitant, they have no idea of what they when they get the ball in the midfield, they have no real plan of how they get
of
forward.
where they're going.
Every
Yeah.
time they pass these short passes that don't have any purpose, attack them, hit them hard, constantly run forward, and it's going to be really, really tough for Arsenal because if we try to play our calm little compact, you know, focused and safe way of playing, they're going to beat us. Leeds
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
beat us.
And it's at Leeds, right? It's at Ellen Road. So
I mean, doesn't
so
it matter anymore? Like the way we've been playing at home, and then there's this thing of,
yeah.
oh, it's
Yeah.
a home
I mean,
game.
yeah, we
It's an away game. We have to play completely different than we would at a home game. What happened to the days when a game is a
just
game,
go
a
out.
cup is a cup,
Yeah.
a
Hmm.
fixture is a fixture. You play your best team. It doesn't matter if it's home or away. You're not going to change your entire fucking style. If you're playing
Totally.
the team where you know that this guy is fast or this guy scores headers on corners, yeah, you make little adjustments, but it's gotten too much to the point where like every game has to be like, well, it's this kind of game, so you have to play like this. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
fucking
They go in more defensively to like away games, and that's always like, what? Why? Like,
yeah,
go in there and attack them. When
that
we,
makes zero sense at all. Like, oh,
yeah.
it's
When
a
you,
away game, so we have to play really defensively. Like,
yeah. When
why?
we were playing when we were younger, you go somewhere else, just someone else's field, school. You're like, we're going to play the way we play.
Yeah,
I don't,
you play
I don't
your
care
game.
what they do.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
put the best players on the field, play your
Yeah.
style. That
Yeah.
style isn't night and day different home and away, especially with no
Yeah.
fans. Like, it makes no fucking difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there. I'm nervous. That game isn't like I think we lose that game. The
I mean,
we predicted pretty much every other game that we would win. I'm not so certain on this one. They're coming back from the international break off a 3-0 hammering it against Villa at home. Like you
I mean, how embarrassing is that anyway? 3-0 loss
yeah,
at home.
at home
And
to a team that like hasn't been in. They got relegated a few years ago and it came back. I mean, a team that's definitely on the up and up. I mean, Jack Grealish is sick. That dude is good,
yeah, and
and
also
he
I heard a stat
they actually care.
we didn't foul him the whole game. And it started when he got the ball when they scored that goal.
He dribbled everybody.
Well, they scored that goal in 40 seconds. And like he got the ball and he was like, and Holding was like holding off him. And then you gotta like, yeah, you don't dive in, but you wait, and then you poke it away. That is
Yeah,
basic 8-year-old defense. Don't dive in.
yeah,
He makes the move, poke the ball away. Just get a touch
yeah,
on it. The ball or the man, never both. All kind of basic defending. And what he just held off him, terrified he was going to get nutmegged or something. and they scored, and he kept doing that. And they never were like,
Yeah, yeah,
all right, I'm gonna
yeah.
come in and just fucking kick his shoe and the ball and just tell him like, you try to dribble, I'm gonna kick you all day. It's gonna be a long
Yeah.
day for you.
Yeah, and they don't do that as much. Like let them know you're there. Like Jack Grealish just had free reign running around the field. So like, I mean, I
Yeah,
Leeds is an attacking team. They're gonna do something similar, and we'll get punished.
yeah. We come out flat like we did, just flat as a pancake against Aston Villa. They scored. I don't think they should have called that goal back. You know, he was standing in front of Leno. He wasn't going to save that anyway. You know what I mean? That was,
Yeah,
we totally lucked out that they called that goal back. And then we responded by being even more flat, like no response to that. But you're fielding a
yeah,
team that's scared, that doesn't have the quality, that is giving all the psychological advantage to the other team. What do you expect?
yeah. Totally. I'm I don't know. I don't even have any idea what our formation is going to be, who he's going to start, because it's been yeah, the tide's turned a little bit. The beginning part of the season where we're firing and doing really well, it's kind of faded away. We're doing well in the Europa League, but the Premier League, we're not going to do anything. We still start winning some games. Granted, we had a tough run of games. I feel like we don't play any of the bottom half of the teams till after Christmas, and which is interesting. Like we don't even play Chelsea until the second half of the like we haven't played them yet. We play them at Boxing Day or after Boxing Day. So like we do have a decent run of games later, but they still in this period you got to be putting together wins. And
Yep.
now we got Leeds, and that's going to be a hard game, and
Yeah.
one that I don't know that we get something from it.
Well, I mean, Aston Villa is a good kind of representation of what all the teams are like. You know, besides Burnley and Fulham, which are clearly not as good as the rest, every team is
Yeah,
about, I feel like Aston Villa is a good barometer for the teams in the middle of the pack. And then you have like uh, Liverpool and Man City separated at the top. But the rest, there's like
yeah,
that gray area where there's no real easy games. Brighton's not going to be an easy game. Newcastle's not going to be an easy
no,
game. Wolves is not going to be an easy game. You know, like
yeah.
they're not going to get much easier than Aston Villa.
No, I mean the league is really competitive now. I mean it's everybody's good besides the couple at the bottom, and that seems to even be changing. Every year that number of teams that are beatable really easily has been shrinking. I mean, remember 10 years ago there was at least 8 teams that you knew that you were going to win against at any point. You knew if you were going to Newcastle, you're going to beat Newcastle. You knew you
Everton,
yeah, yeah. Now
Middlesbrough,
it's
Aston
like two
Villa.
teams. You're right. Burnley and Fulham are like the only two really right now that you're probably going to get wins. You'll probably win 4 games out of the season because of those two matches up combined, and everybody else is a toss up.
Yeah, yeah. It's, I don't know. They better sort it out, and I hope Arteta just kind of injects some kind of something else, something more dynamic, because we're really
Yeah,
stale at the moment, and it seems like we just
I
keep
mean
fighting the momentum. Like, please just stop fighting the momentum. Have some
if everything that we've thought, and everything that we've heard about Arteta is true and turns out to be right, he'll get it sorted eventually. Like he seems to be a manager with the mindfulness and long term plan to have something in mind. So maybe it's growing pains and figuring out the system and getting the team to play the way you want to. I know that there's still some transitioning going on, and so hopefully they can but in the meantime they got to not fall apart, and they got to be building on each week and not going backwards.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And they need help with the formation wise. You know, they're
Yeah,
they're absolutely wasting Aubameyang, who has been our
yeah,
golden goose for since he arrived. He's
yeah,
been pretty much the only player been solid that whole time. He's in a run of a lack of form. I wouldn't even call it poor form because he's just not getting involved. And that
Yeah,
has to be down to the formation.
totally. Yeah, they they have the personnel right now, I think. Like they have a good enough team to qualify for Champions League, especially in this season right now. This season is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Like
No one is
there's
unbeatable.
not a clear there's not a clear winner right now. So I mean, I think that top four is going to fluctuate a lot in the next 8 months. So it I don't if I were them, I would be excited about that prospect. You know, anybody could win the league. Liverpool has a number of injuries right now that they're not
Whole
going to
defense
contend. Gomez,
is out for like the season, I think, or like
yeah,
months. Van
yeah,
Dijk
he has like a really bad injury that he got this week. So yeah, Van Dijk's out for the season.
Alexander Arnold is injured.
Yeah, they have like 8 people out right now. So they're not. I think they would struggle. They're not going to win the league. I don't think so. But
It's up for grabs.
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. It's up for grabs. We need to start taking it. It's not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
there's too many teams who are so hungry that you can't just leave scraps around for long. They'll get eaten up in a
yeah,
second. If
yeah.
we're not doing it, we won't be that team. The opportunity is there, but we have to take it.
For sure. Yeah, they got to start producing and start having showing a little bit of pride and trying a little bit more. The performance against Villa is not going to get it done.
No, that's gonna get us
Relegated.
in a scary situation. But I still think Arteta, there's no talks of like getting rid of him or something. Because
Oh
really,
no,
without
I think
Arteta,
he's long.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, if he leaves, then it's almost like it's scary to think about what might happen.
God help us. No,
Because
I
yeah,
think he's sturdy. He's sturdying the ship for sure. It's they got to buy into the plan, and he can only do so much. The team when the team gets on the field, the coach isn't involved anymore. It's the player that needs to do what we're told to do.
yeah.
So
So yeah,
we'll see
hopefully,
if they can do that. So, but yeah, nice chat this week. Join
yeah,
us next week. Well, I'm sure we'll discuss more Leeds and how we might be shaping up team wise.
yeah. Hopefully, we'll have some more indication on injuries and who's available, and hopefully, we'll be in a good way.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you later. See you
All right,
next week.
all right, later.
Thank you.